Stoicism teaches that happiness is not something to chase. It is something to practice. It is not tied to wealth, status, or ease. It comes from the way we respond to the world. It comes from training the mind to align with nature, reason, and virtue. Every day you have the chance to be happy because your perspective is disciplined. Because you choose your values over your moods. Because you root your peace in what you can control. This is the foundation of Stoic joy. It is real, stable, and daily. It does not fade with discomfort. It does not vanish with stress. It is earned through clarity, reflection, and action. This video will show you how to live that way. Each chapter is a step toward building a mindset that can meet the day with calm, strength, and meaning. You do not need to wait for happiness. You can train for it, starting now. Chapter 1. Happiness comes from within. Epictetus said, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond our power." The Stoics believed that true happiness can only come from within. They observed that external conditions, wealth, praise, comfort, status, are unstable. They change constantly and are shaped by forces outside our influence. If someone places their sense of peace or fulfillment in those conditions, their peace will shift and collapse with every change. Their emotional state will rise and fall depending on how the world treats them, not based on what they can choose or control. This creates a fragile and reactive life. The Stoics taught that a stable and lasting form of happiness must be built on what is always within reach, our own mind. They believed happiness is formed by living in accordance with values like wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These are choices we can make regardless of circumstance. This kind of happiness is not held in someone else's hands. It is not delayed by outside events. It is grounded in self-governance. A central idea in Stoic training is to narrow your focus to what is truly up to you. You cannot decide how other people think, speak, or act. You cannot prevent changes in your health, your reputation, or the environment. You cannot direct the course of time or control random events, but you can shape your reactions. You can respond to insult with patience. You can respond to pressure with composure. You can respond to temptation with discipline. These actions are within your command. Mastery over them builds strength and freedom. A person who chooses calm over complaint is not waiting for the world to change. They are using their power rightly. A person who chooses honesty over image is not gambling their worth on public approval. They are securing their peace and character. These choices are always available. They are the foundation of inner freedom. When you live in alignment with your own principles, when your conscience is clear, when your thoughts are guided by reason, you gain peace. This peace is not occasional. The Stoics did not treat happiness as a separate goal. They believed it naturally arises from a life of integrity. When you are doing what you believe is right, when your thoughts are steady, and when your actions reflect your values, you experience a quiet strength. There is no need to search for joy in distraction or indulgence. Joy emerges as a result of clear thinking and right action. It is built moment by moment through self-mastery. The mind is not designed to flourish in confusion and chaos. It seeks structure. It seeks meaning. It performs best when it is focused, when it operates according to reason, and when it is not pulled in every direction by unchecked emotions. Left untrained, the mind becomes a source of suffering. It creates stories, assumptions, fears, and expectations that cloud judgment and create needless anxiety. But when you train the mind, when you examine your desires, question your assumptions, and remove distortions, you reduce that suffering. Happiness is not the reward of wishing for peace. It is the result of mental discipline. Each time you respond to difficulty with clarity, you train the mind. Each time you return your focus to what matters, you restore your strength. Each time you choose virtue over ease, you align yourself with nature. Over time, these small acts create a foundation of lasting peace. That peace is what the Stoics meant by happiness. It is steady, it is earned, and it is always within your power. Start each morning with a short reflection. Ask yourself, what is in my control today? What virtues can I practice? What noise can I ignore? This practice builds clarity. It removes clutter. It sets the tone for the day. Chapter 2. accept the flow of life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept whatever comes to you, woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs?" To the Stoics, life is a continuous unfolding of events. It is a process of change governed by nature. Circumstances arise, people speak and act, conditions improve or decline. These shifts occur with or without your consent. You can choose to resist these shifts and create tension within yourself, or you can recognize them as part of life's design and adapt your response. The choice is always present. Alignment with this truth allows you to participate in life without unnecessary distress. Active alignment means accepting what comes without losing your ability to act within it. It does not imply disengagement or indifference. It means recognizing your responsibilities and fulfilling them within the framework of reality. You do your best in every role you occupy, with clarity, commitment, and care. Once you have acted within your role, you do not carry the burden of results. You return to what you can still influence and release what is past. Nature operates on its own principles. It does not pause for comfort or convenience. The Stoics observed that the world is indifferent to individual preferences. Illness, aging, and death occur regardless of desire. Markets rise and fall. Relationships begin and end. The sun sets and seasons turn without intention. None of these events are directed at you personally. They follow the order of nature. When you treat events as if they are aimed at you, you create unnecessary emotional turmoil. You label things as unfair even though fairness is not part of the natural process. Storms do not target. Obstacles do not judge. They appear because of conditions beyond your control. The Stoic mindset teaches you to respond to them with skill rather than complaint. You become adaptable. You learn to think clearly even in discomfort. You develop strength from contact with difficulty. Much of human suffering does not come from external events. It arises from internal resistance. When you expect permanence in a world that changes, you experience disappointment. When you demand ease in a system that includes struggle, you feel cheated. When you chase after what cannot be held, you create anxiety. But when you recognize that everything is part of a flowing process, you begin to move with it. You stop clinging. You stop bracing. You begin to observe, reflect, and engage from a place of balance. Acceptance, in the Stoic view, is not the same as passivity. It is a rational adjustment to reality. It is clarity about what can and cannot be changed. It is a calm orientation toward truth. Through acceptance, the mind conserves its energy for what is useful. It directs thought toward action. It remains available for learning. It lets go of the impossible and holds firm to the necessary. Peace is not created by overpowering the world. It is developed by understanding your place within it. You are one part of a greater whole. Your choices matter, but they exist within limits. The more clearly you see this, the less you waste energy on resistance. You shift your attention to mastery of self, not the manipulation of circumstances. By practicing this mindset, you reduce internal conflict. You respond to setbacks with discipline. You return to principle in moments of confusion. You remain steady when things break or change. And from that steadiness, happiness becomes possible. It becomes something formed from clarity, not chance. Throughout your day, repeat this phrase when facing setbacks. I did not expect control. I prepared for response. This simple reminder will ground your reactions. It will restore your power. Chapter 3. Discipline of Desire and Aversion. Epictetus taught that we must train ourselves to desire only what is in our control, and to be averse only to what is within our power to avoid. This principle forms a foundation for Stoic discipline. It requires a close examination of where you place your energy and attention. Desires can stretch far beyond your reach toward outcomes, reactions, possessions, or recognition. Aversions can also become irrational, especially when they center on things outside your influence. When this happens, your internal state becomes dependent on forces you cannot govern. This leads to constant anxiety and dissatisfaction. Happiness is disturbed when you allow your peace to depend on what lies beyond your authority. The mind becomes preoccupied with hopes that do not materialize or fears that cannot be escaped. You suffer twice, once from the event and once from your interpretation of it. The Stoics trained themselves to draw a clear boundary between what is theirs and what is not. Only what is theirs deserves concern. This creates focus, strength, and clarity. Desires that aim at wealth, praise, comfort, or outcomes often invite emotional instability. You may get what you want for a moment, but you remain dependent on that condition continuing. If it fades, your peace fades with it. On the other side, fears directed at death, loss, criticism, or failure often paralyze action. They fill the mind with confusion and prevent rational movement forward. The Stoic discipline of desire and aversion reduces this instability by filtering what is worth emotional investment, by narrowing your desires to what you can actually affect. Your decisions, your judgments, your speech, your conduct. You gain greater strength. These are within your full control. They respond to your will. When your sense of fulfillment depends on them, you are stable. You are responsible for what matters, and you no longer need to wait for life to cooperate with your preferences. In the same way, fears become manageable when limited to what you can reasonably prevent. You are not disturbed by the weather, by the market, or by aging. These events unfold without your input. You focus instead on how you respond with courage, reason, and endurance. That focus directs your mind toward preparation rather than anxiety. This clarity creates space in the mind. It removes clutter and frees your energy for practical choices. You stop reacting to every stimulus. You stop exhausting yourself in battles that cannot be influenced. You place your energy where it has value and where it strengthens your resolve. The Stoic does not attempt to remove emotion. They learn how to understand and guide it. Emotion is often shaped by belief. When beliefs are mistaken, emotions become unstable. The Stoic reflects on the connection between thought and feeling. When you believe you need permanence, you become afraid of change. When you assume praise confirms your worth, you become dependent on approval. These ideas shape how you feel. When you examine and correct them, your emotions follow. This process is a kind of mental alignment. You refine your beliefs through honest thinking. You replace vague assumptions with clear principles. As your beliefs strengthen, your emotional reactions become more consistent. You do not shift with every result. You do not depend on external feedback to decide how you feel. You build a base within yourself. That base becomes your reference point. Your mood reflects your commitment to principle. Your identity is guided by your values. This is the early stage of freedom. Freedom is not escape from pressure. It is mastery of inner response. It is the ability to choose behavior based on reason. When you feel overwhelmed, you stop and assess. When you feel insulted, you check your impulse and think clearly. This practice becomes more natural over time. You recognize what lies inside your authority. You ignore what does not. You move with clarity instead of confusion. Freedom allows you to speak with intention, to act with steadiness, and to remain anchored when circumstances shift. It is built by doing the same simple thing repeatedly, turning your attention inward, identifying your role, and taking responsibility for your mind. Each moment becomes a chance to reset your focus. Each interaction becomes an opportunity to respond deliberately. Living from the inside out means organizing your day around what belongs to you. You design your experience by setting priorities. You ask what kind of presence you want to bring into each situation. You identify the habits that serve you. You follow a standard that you've chosen consciously. This is the core of Stoic happiness. It is structured around constancy. It is supported by discipline. It is strengthened by attention to detail. At the end of each day, take time to examine your desires and fears. Write them down in a journal. Identify whether they are based on things within your influence. Label each as internal or external. Ask what patterns you notice. Are you chasing outcomes? Are you resisting events that cannot be changed? Are you holding yourself to someone else's standards? These questions clarify your path. They help you reclaim energy. They show you where your attention has drifted. Remind yourself daily where your authority lies. It lies in your thoughts, your choices, your words, and your reactions. That is where your training happens. That is where progress is made. This shift of attention builds mental quiet. It sharpens awareness. It turns reflection into strength and builds the kind of stability that does not depend on the behavior of others or the outcome of events. Chapter 4. Your thoughts shape your life. Marcus Aurelius reminds us the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. What you think about all day shapes your experience. Your thoughts create the framework through which you interpret every event. When you spend your day focused on what is missing, what went wrong, or what might go wrong, your perception becomes narrow and heavy. This kind of mental focus feeds frustration, doubt, and anxiety. It reduces your capacity to see opportunity or to act with strength. If you instead give attention to what is within your influence, your actions, your choices, your values, your inner world becomes more stable. The mind becomes more ordered and the emotions more grounded. Thought is the starting point of all behavior. Every decision begins with a mental impression, a belief, or a conclusion. If the thought is distorted, the behavior that follows will reflect that distortion. If the thought is clear and examined, the action will be more deliberate. The Stoics placed great importance on this process. They trained themselves to begin with thought, to filter it, and to refine it before acting. This daily training formed the basis of their discipline. Clarity comes from honesty with the self. The Stoic challenges what they assume to be true. They inspect beliefs that guide their actions. A person may believe they are only valuable if they are admired. This belief then dictates their speech, behavior, and mood. It creates dependence. If they are not admired, they feel worthless. Another person may believe they are only secure when everything goes according to plan. When the plan shifts, they experience panic. In both cases, the belief is creating suffering. The Stoic learns to examine the link between belief and emotion. They do not take their thoughts at face value. They study them. They ask, is this thought accurate? Is it useful? Is it based on reality or fear? This mental habit creates resilience. It prevents the mind from falling into repetitive patterns that cause distress. It also builds strength over time. Each examined thought becomes a small improvement in judgment. The mind must be managed with care. When left unobserved, it tends to drift toward what is dramatic, urgent, or irrational. The Stoic does not try to suppress the mind. They guide it. They learn to recognize when it is distracted or influenced by external noise. They notice when emotion is coloring their interpretation. They bring the mind back to what is stable, truth, logic, and virtue. This redirection is not always easy, but it becomes a skill through repetition. The more the Stoic practices this discipline, the more accurate their vision becomes. They learn to observe events without adding false stories. They stop exaggerating problems. They stop assigning malicious intent to people's actions. They stop assuming the worst about the future. This shift in perception does not eliminate difficulty. It allows the person to see difficulty with a calm and prepared mind. This clarity forms a kind of inner light. The person is no longer easily shaken. They do not waste energy on what is imagined. They use their thoughts as tools, not as threats. They respond to challenges with a clear mind, not a scattered one. When they notice their thoughts drifting into worry, envy, or blame, they bring them back. They ask what is useful. They ask what is good. They ask what is within their responsibility. This habit slowly changes how they experience each day. The world outside may remain unstable, but the world within becomes steady. That steadiness is built thought by thought. It is strengthened by every moment of honest reflection. It is reinforced each time the person chooses to correct a belief instead of feeding a fear. This is how thought shapes life, not by what it predicts, but by how it prepares the mind to act. Each morning, choose one Stoic phrase or quote. Write it down. Repeat it throughout the day. Let it guide your thinking. Over time, this daily anchoring will refine your mindset. Chapter 5. Live according to nature. To live according to nature means to live in line with reason, virtue, and your role as a human being. It means using your rational mind to understand what is right and then acting on that understanding. It means approaching each situation with honesty, self-control, courage, and fairness. These are not abstract ideas. They are practical expressions of your human capacity. To live this way, you must first understand that you are part of nature. Nature is not a separate system. It includes you, your body, your thoughts, your community, and your responsibilities. It includes the world and everything in it. Weather, time, aging, suffering, and death. Nature unfolds constantly. Life moves forward through seasons, through events, through cycles of change. You are part of that movement. The Stoics believed that the wise person does not fight against the natural process. They believed in observing how things are, accepting their structure, and contributing to them with character. This does not mean passivity. It means participating with integrity. It means working with nature rather than attempting to bend it to your preferences. Every day brings you into contact with challenges, tasks, and decisions. These are the spaces where you live according to nature. When you act with reason and virtue within your situation, you fulfill your purpose. When you speak truthfully, when you carry out your responsibilities with care, when you respond to adversity with steady thinking, you are living according to your design. These actions are ordinary in appearance but meaningful in result. They form the structure of a well-lived life. Happiness is not separate from this way of living. It grows from it. A person who acts with purpose experiences a deep sense of order. They feel connected to the present moment. They do not need ideal circumstances to feel satisfied. They need only to know that they are doing their work and staying faithful to what is right. Serving the greater good, staying honest in relationships, and doing meaningful tasks with presence are all examples of this alignment. To live according to nature also means to understand and accept your limits. Your body will age. Your plans may fail. People will misunderstand you. Life will not always match your expectations. The Stoic does not resist these truths. The world outside may remain unstable, but the world within becomes steady. That steadiness is built thought by thought. It is strengthened by every moment of honest reflection. It is reinforced each time the person chooses to correct a belief instead of feeding a fear. This is how thought shapes life, not by what it predicts, but by how it prepares the mind to act. Each morning, choose one Stoic phrase or quote. Write it down. Repeat it throughout the day. Let it guide your thinking. Over time, this daily anchoring will refine your mindset. Chapter 5. Live according to nature. To live according to nature means to live in line with reason, virtue, and your role as a human being. It means using your rational mind to understand what is right and then acting on that understanding. It means approaching each situation with honesty, self-control, courage, and fairness. These are not abstract ideas. They are practical expressions of your human capacity. To live this way, you must first understand that you are part of nature. Nature is not a separate system. It includes you, your body, your thoughts, your community, and your responsibilities. It includes the world and everything in it. Weather, time, aging, suffering, and death. Nature unfolds constantly. Life moves forward through seasons, through events, through cycles of change. You are part of that movement. The Stoics believed that the wise person does not fight against the natural process. They believed in observing how things are, accepting their structure, and contributing to them with character. This does not mean passivity. It means participating with integrity. It means working with nature rather than attempting to bend it to your preferences. Every day brings you into contact with challenges, tasks, and decisions. These are the spaces where you live according to nature. When you act with reason and virtue within your situation, you fulfill your purpose. When you speak truthfully, when you carry out your responsibilities with care, when you respond to adversity with steady thinking, you are living according to your design. These actions are ordinary in appearance but meaningful in result. They form the structure of a well-lived life. Happiness is not separate from this way of living. It grows from it. A person who acts with purpose experiences a deep sense of order. They feel connected to the present moment. They do not need ideal circumstances to feel satisfied. They need only to know that they are doing their work and staying faithful to what is right. Serving the greater good, staying honest in relationships, and doing meaningful tasks with presence are all examples of this alignment. To live according to nature also means to understand and accept your limits. Your body will age. Your plans may fail. People will misunderstand you. Life will not always match your expectations. The Stoic does not resist these truths. You begin to see that fulfillment does not require perfection. It requires attention to what matters and steady progress in your chosen path. Chapter 6. The Power of Present Focus. The Stoics train themselves to stay anchored in the present moment. They believe that peace is found through attention to the current task, not through reflection on the past or anticipation of the future. They focus their energy on what could be done now. Epictetus warned his students against becoming distracted by regret or fear. He urged them to focus on the present because it is the only place where choice and action exist. Marcus Aurelius, facing great pressures as emperor, reminded himself daily, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors. Be intent on what nature demands of you now. The present is where action lives. You cannot act in the past, and you cannot act in the future. Every decision, every movement, every word happens in the present. If your attention drifts away from the moment, your power weakens. When you replay events from yesterday or imagine disasters of tomorrow, your mind fragments. You lose energy to things that cannot be changed or predicted. This tension makes it difficult to fulfill your duties with precision. Planning is useful when it guides behavior. It helps structure your time and prepare your efforts. But when it becomes obsessive, it disrupts peace. The Stoics trained to distinguish planning from overthinking. They planned simply and acted fully. They did not allow plans to replace the present. They understood that no plan survives contact with reality unless you remain mentally flexible. That flexibility is only possible when you are present. Living in the present requires attention. It means directing your full awareness to what you are doing. When you are speaking, you listen carefully. When you are writing, you focus on each sentence. When you are eating, you slow down and taste the food. These acts are small, but they bring the mind into order. They reduce confusion. They train you to see your time as something to be used with care. The Stoics understood that each moment has moral weight. The way you spend your time reveals your character. If you live carelessly, jumping from distraction to distraction, you lose your grip on what matters. You lose time, but more than that, you lose yourself. Attention is not just about productivity, it is about dignity. To live with attention is to live with respect for your own life. Time is limited. It cannot be paused or refilled. Once a moment has passed, it is gone. The Stoics used this fact to sharpen their focus. They reminded themselves that each task could be their last. This was not meant to cause fear. It was meant to bring urgency and presence. When you understand that time is finite, you stop wasting it. You begin to treat ordinary actions as part of your larger purpose. Presence also strengthens your emotional life.